stuff, like we got to go into those rooms and play, which is really cool. And that's where we ended up scrimming with our team for the most part. So we were just sitting there playing to the end of the night, and then I think we just ended up going home, and that was the first day because that was like pretty late at night, right? Like we got in, um, we got in from what's it called? We got in at like we got in pretty late. So the end of the day was pretty fast after we went to the NALCS studio, and then the next day was the quote unquote scouting day, and that was where we went to the Riot HQ and we did a basically in houses for the entire day. So we got split up into random teams, and the teams got switched every single game. Riot HQ has a PC bong inside of their PC cafe, and it's kind of sucks because they only have 60 hertz monitors there, and it is just a really awkward setup going from what you're used to. And that was kind of like the theme of the event for our team. We had to plan different setups a lot, but and it actually wasn't that bad. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but that wasn't that bad. The first day, hella people were nervous because
I'm so stoked, my dudes.
obviously they've never played in front of people before, and you literally had coaches walking behind you and talking about how you're playing while you're playing. So a lot of people got nervous because of that. I'm not really the type of person to get nervous over stuff like that, so it didn't bother me. But I remember a lot of players after, like people that I was just talking to, would say stuff like, "Oh, dude, it was really hard to like focus. I was kind of nervous," and I'm like, "Yeah, it makes sense. Like, I totally get it because there's a lot of people there that haven't even like scrimmed before." Um, yeah. So, we did all that. We got to meet a lot of the pro teams. It's really cool. Me and Clown, it was at the end of the day. Me and Clown we're going to go back to the hotel. Or no, we were going to go to like go to a restaurant or something. And actually, the GGS people, Danon, uh, Inero, and another guy, I can't remember his name, they actually invited me and Clown to go eat with them. And that was really, really cool of them. They totally didn't have to do that. They just overheard us talking, and we got to go. They took us to this restaurant called the Cutting Board, I think. I think that is what it was called. They make like I don't know. They make like just some random food, but it's pretty good. And we got to talk a lot about scouting grounds, what teams are looking for, stuff like that. And they seem like genuine good guys. Apparently, it's like a new coaching staff for the academy team, so that was cool. Also, I'm gonna touch briefly on it. So at the start of that day, the start of that morning, was when all those like tweets and stuff of mine resurfaced. So those like all those things that I tweeted like 5 years ago or whatever. Um, that stuff resurfaced, and Riot was like, "All right, dude, like this happened,"
I'm so
um,
stoked, my
and
dudes.
I'm like, okay, like I was overreacting a bit. I was like, guys, I'm so sorry that this happened. Um, I'll do my best to delete the stuff, but the damage is done, stuff like that. And they were like, you know what, it's okay. Like they totally understood that the stuff is old, and they're not really going to hold it against me, which I mean is completely fair. I mean, I understand why some people might think that thing is bad, and I mean it really wasn't. It wasn't that bad. The stuff that I said, was pretty stupid. Um, and I'm not gonna like blame it on me being younger. Really, I know that stuff is all my fault. But Riot was really really cool about it, and um, yeah, I mean that's basically all it was. They basically just told me like, "Hey man, like I know that you're upset about that, but it's really not a big deal. People do that, and yeah, I know I didn't really tweet during Scouting Grounds because I didn't want to bring too much attention to that whole thing, but I just want you guys to know that like that did not influence anything negative during Scouting Grounds. So all that stuff is okay. You don't have to worry about that. The only people who cared about that are people that shit talk me anyway. So like they're just irrelevant, and yeah, like they're just hella irrelevant, and they just want to shit talk. So that it doesn't really matter that much. Although I am sorry for those things that I said. Unfortunately, I can't change that. All I can do is assure that nothing like that would ever happen again. I'm way past that stage. I'm not gonna justify. I'm not gonna justify what I said because
I'm so stoked, my
it
dude.
was just stupid, right? They were just stupid ass jokes, and I just shouldn't have tweeted them. But that was 100% my bad. I offered to write. I said, hey, uh, I'll delete my Twitter if you want. I'll post a public apology, and they assured me that it wasn't that big of a deal, and it's better to just move on. So, yeah. Um, so that happened. I was still a little bit upset about the whole thing that happened. I talked to some of my friends at Riot. I got to meet up with um, one of my friends from Riot who I haven't seen or I've never met before. Her name is Katie, and she showed up to the PC Bong, and it was really cool getting to meet her because I knew her like 4 years ago, back when I was fucking random, basically. And it was really cool finally getting to meet her. She works with like the skins team, so I got to meet her and one of her friends who works on the art team. I don't know what she does though, but it was cool getting to see them. Um, and I just got to meet like all the coaches and stuff, and it was really cool. So the day after that, basically that's the way that day ended was me going to dinner with the GGS people with Clown. So that's the end of that day. We went back to the hotel. Um, the next day was the interview day and the team drafting day. So the way the interviews worked, where we basically went to every single team was set up in their respective rooms. So the Echo Fox coaches in the Echo Fox room, TSM coaches in the TSM room, and I got to talk one on one with each and every team, basically. Well, maybe it wasn't always one on one, but there was like sometimes there was two staff members, three, four, or just one. Um, so we got to talk to all of them. That was super super good. It was really nice. None of them brought up the Twitter thing, which I really respect them for. Only a couple of them brought up like my behavior in general, because the way that those teams are seeing it, right, is if I actually got accepted into the event, my behavior just genuinely can't be that bad, right? The only way that I can get into the event in general is for my behavior to have improved. So a lot of teams are really cool with that, and they were just really interested in seeing me play. So that was all great. I really appreciate those interviews. I got to meet some really really cool people. Um, and then basically after that happened, we took a bit of a, or no, we went and did a bit of like a Q&A with some pro players. So the pro players that were there were Solo, Licorice, Smoothie, Demonte, and Darshan. Um, we basically just went over like a PowerPoint presentation while the other group was going through the interview. So we split off into two groups, and that took up like an hour. And then after that, we just talked about random stuff with them, like how to be a pro player, what it's like to be a pro player, stuff like that. So after that was done, we went to talk to this guy that talks about contracts and stuff, saying like, "Hey guys, don't insta sign contracts. Like you're gonna get hard scammed. All that shit. Um, stuff that people. It's very useful for a lot of people. A lot of people don't know that stuff, but it was very helpful. We got to talk to, um, yeah, we just got to talk to somebody in Riot who's basically saying like, "Yo, these teams are like, potentially going to, sign you to bad shit. So maybe don't sign, instantly." But that was all that, and then after that happened, I think is when the uh, draft happened. So the draft happened. Um, it was kind of lame. There was like no hype behind it. They just like showed a fucking thing, and it just showed all the teams and everything. And I got Flares, Julian, Jurassic, and Diamond. Uh, and from the get go, I was actually pretty happy with that team. Um, because I know that everyone on the team has played competitively somewhat before. So I'm thinking, okay, we already have an advantage. This is really good. Uh, we and then we got our pictures done and everything. We got all the makeup and everything done. All that shit was done for that day. I'm trying to think what else did we do. I think we went and scrimmed that same night. Um, yeah, I think we went and scrimmed that like same night, and I think we just lost. I'm not sure. I can't actually. I think we won a game and then lost like I can't actually remember what happened that first night, but the second night or the second day, we basically went back and I think we just had scrims all day that day. So we got to go on Team Ocean, and Team Ocean was ran by CLG and Team Liquid, and I was super 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 happy to get those orgs. You know, Team Liquid, they went to Worlds. They're just notably one of the best teams in the league, pretty much always. CLG again, just a super respectful org, and I got to meet like Weldon, and he's just someone that like everyone knows, and it was really cool getting to meet him and just talk to him, and I really like that. And the same with TL. Uh, they had Dodo there, who is really really
I'm so stoked, my
reputable
dude.
and just respectable coach, and I really really like being in an environment where the people around me are way better than me, like knowledge wise, and I just think it's so awesome seeing these people, like Dodo, or like I guess Weldon, not so much game wise, um, and some of the academy players like Tuesday Chicken was there, Fallen Bandit was there. I'm trying to think of the other coaching staff that was there for TL. I can't remember though, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say one of them because I don't think they're actually official. So maybe I shouldn't say that guy's name. Uh, but there were some TL people there, some CLG people there. It was really cool to be in that environment. And we just went through some games and we ran through some scrims. The game started literally the day after, so we didn't get much scrim time. And instantly we were having problems with our team. And the main issue with our team is the fact that I'm a lead communicator on any team that I'm on, and Diamond was trying to fill that role as well. And the issue with that is that the other three people on our team also like to talk, from what I know, and having five people trying to talk is very very bad, right? So our team needed to jump through a hoop that I think other teams didn't have to, and that was the communication, basically assigning roles for communication. And I mean, it's hard, right? Because everyone's there, everyone wants to look good for teams, and everyone wants to maybe have the spotlight on them or to show what they got, right? So it's very hard for that many people that want to communicate. Whereas I know other teams had straight up silent people on their team, which also is bad, but at least there's more breathing room and it's a lot easier and there's not so much cluttered communication. So even though we objectively had the quote unquote best team, um, even though we had quote unquote the best team, there was too many people. It was just there was too many people talking, and it was really difficult. My best trait as a player is the way that I communicate in game. I'm very very good at communicating in game, and I felt like the first few days I wasn't able to do that, and it was really disheartening because I'm going into that tournament as the quote unquote best jungler at the tournament, yada 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 yada, a lot of people hyping me up, and I know I spoke to some people before the event. I said, guys, like, I'm kind of nervous because I'm going to an event where you know the community, and you know what, at the end of the day, like, I ended up talking, this is going to come in a couple minutes, the community, all that shit, none of that actually matters, and it really got to my head in terms of what people thought of me and how I should perform, and none of that shit actually fucking matters, and it was just me being ignorant thinking that it did. um,
I'm so
but I
stoked, my
was I
dude.
was really in the mindset where I needed to win, and I that is not the mindset at all. Like, that did not have to happen. But I was really in the mindset that we needed to win, and it really sucked losing games to people who I didn't think were that good, um, like jungle wise, right? And not that I don't think that they're good, but I know I'm better than. Let me just put it that way. And that, you guys can take that the wrong way if you want, but I know how I mean it, and I'm not gonna spend time trying to change people's minds. I was under the impression, and I still am, that I was the best jungler there, and it really sucked to see us losing games due to communication and stuff like that, and it was just really disheartening to see that. But we kept powering through. The scrims started going better.
I'm so stoked,
Uh,
my dude.
I think 2 days after our first scrim session, we got to go to the Team Liquid facility, which was awesome. Uh, they We got to sit where the LCS players were playing. So like, Flares was in Impact Spot, I was in Xmithies, Julian was in Pobelters, rest in peace. Uh, Jurassic was in double lift, and Diamond was in Olay spot. Rest in peace. So it was really cool, and we got to meet Steve. Steve walked in, got to say hi to him briefly. We got to go to the review room, which is so sick. Like it's like a fucking movie theater, bro. Like where they do reviews. It's so cool. Um, and we got to play there for a whole day. It was really awesome. I think that was when we we won a few games in our series, but we still ended up losing the whole series, which sucked. But you could tell we were getting better at this point, and it was very. I think the communication we started implementing communication roles a bit better because it's one thing to talk about stuff, but it's another to act on it, right? So we were doing a lot of talking in terms of like what we should be doing better, but we weren't really acting on it until the Alienware day. Um, and the Alienware day I think was like the biggest turning point for success. And then they took us out for boba, and we had a good time. We went out, got to meet everyone. They gave us some TL merch, uh, and it was just really fucking cool. Like in general, it was just really cool. The next day, we actually got to go to the CLG facility, which is really dope. Both of them are actually really cool. The thing is like the CLG one feels way more like slack. Like and that could be a good or a bad thing, right? Uh, the CLG facility is pretty chill, and then the TL one, like when you go to the TL one, you know you're there to work, right? And that's like it's. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. It just would be preference based, right? But both of them are like you can really tell the TL one like they fucking tried, bro. Like that is a really cool place to be. And the CLG one, it's just like they slapped a bunch of things together, but like it's really dope. Like I actually really enjoy both of them. Um, and it was really cool. We got to meet some more CLG people there. Um, Otto and Wiggly came by. Stixay came by. Then the coach ex Sojin got to talk with. I got to talk with Weldon a bit more because I was there early before everybody else was, and it was just me and Weldon that were there from the scouting grounds people, and it was nice getting to talk to him. He was busy most of the time with meetings though, so we didn't really get to interact with him too much, but it was nice just getting to know him a little bit and explaining some stuff to him what I thought about the team and all that jazz. So CLG that day went pretty good as well. Uh, we ended up losing pretty hard, I think, in one of the games. Actually, I think that was the day where we like should have won both of our series, but we threw. I'm pretty sure. So that one kind of sucked. But on that day, let me backtrack a little second, or a second. In the TL facility, they have a they had someone who was on trial. Again, I don't want to name names because I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, so I'm just not going to. And he really gave me a reality check on what the a reality check on what I should be doing, and all that stuff. Like he it was very helpful for my mental state. I wasn't like losing my mind. I wasn't flaming my teammates. Like I know people want to say stuff like that, but it wasn't like that at all. Um, and that's not what he was saying either, but there were some things that I was doing that were not beneficial to me and the team, and it had nothing to do with like in-game toxicity or anything like that. I don't really want to dive into that too much because it'll take too much time. But it was really nice, and I have a lot of respect for that guy who was helping me out there. So the next day, I was kind of numb to like getting BTFO every single game. So when we lost our series, even though we should have won, I was not really that upset about it, and we got to just chill after, and all that was good. I'm trying to think of the timeline here. That was a CLG day. I feel like that was the day before our games. I feel like that was the day before our stage games, so that's the way I'm gonna word it. Um,
I'm so stoked,
yeah, we
puppy.
got to we got to just chill at the CLG facility, played some board games and stuff. Got to meet everyone. It was a really good time. So we ended up losing those scrims, or we ended up losing our main games, and we also lost the scrims after that. And at this point, we're like 0-6 or some shit, right? and it's pretty bad. But like I was feeling really confident going into the last game that we were probably the best team there. I know it sounds hella fucking jokes because we're 0-6, but I really thought that we were a very strong team at that point. And then we had our third place match against Wind Dragon on the last day. So I was really confident going into the matches against Wind Dragon because one, I don't have an issue with playing on stage. You know, I stream all the time. I have people watching me all the time. I don't mind it at all. I know that there's some rookies on the enemy team, and that's the thing. Everyone on my team, uh, one of our players literally played in the LCS. One of our players plays collegiate. One of our players has been playing tournaments all the time, and one of our players was in academy, right? So the second we get on stage, I'm assuming we have an advantage. And I know me, I'm the biggest liability on stage because I've never played really on stage before, but I know I'm not going to get nervous there. So that was really good. We had to play on stage. The enemy team, I had some talks with them. I'm not going to name people out, but I know a lot of those people were nervous with the environment that they were in on the last day. And we ended up stomping them first game. And as soon as we got off stage for the first game, Dodo came up to me and he's just like straight up. He's like, "Dude, your communication was so good on stage," and I just felt so good because I'm like, wow, like I just got off stomping the living fuck out of the enemy team that game. And the first thing that happens when I get off stage is, a very prestigious coach tells me how perfect I was on stage in terms of communication. He's saying my comms are so good, and I was just like, holy shit! Like we're 0-6, but like I'm actually showing that I can actually do what I want to do, right? Like the first games that we played, even in a lot of the scrims, I felt like my role in the team was not what I wanted it to be, and the games on stage, maybe it was uh, a bit of the nerves maybe with my teammates. They didn't really talk so much, but everyone really seemed in tune with each other compared to our previous scrims where we would call for something. uh, we would call for something and then somebody else would call for something else and it was really bad. But I really felt like in the stage games when I called for something, everyone just fucking did it. And I'm not saying that that's why we won because I know I'm not that good to make perfect calls all the time. But for the first time, we were like really all on the same step or on the same page, and I could tell that everyone. Oh, 1 second. Fuck, this is actually so lame.
I'm so stoked, my dudes.
Okay. There's someone in my apartment right now for like maintenance and stuff. Because when I came back, my apartment was fucked up. But like in terms of my heat not working, so I'll just talk. If he needs me, I'll have to mute again. But yeah. Okay. So we beat our first. We beat the first game. All that was good. We felt super super confident playing the second one because we smoked them in that first game, and I was like super happy. Like Flares, the first game of the series, Flares played the best he played the entire time we were there. It was awesome. Like I was super super proud of him for for playing the way that he did. Uh, Julian, I can't
I'm so
remember.
stoked, my
Oh,
dudes.
he was that was the game where he played Victor again. Like uh, Julian outplaying like a mid gank at the start of the game basically was basically the main reason why we won. It put them on the back foot as Camille against Nocturne. If you're playing Camille into Nocturne and you're on the back foot, things aren't going to go well. Like they're just not. You have a window in the early game to make something happen, and then outside of that, you really don't. So Julian got like a 1v2. He was like 1v3 in mid, and he actually got like 2 kills. Or he got one, but the other guy ended up dying anyway. So that was really, really good by him. And uh, we ended up coming out on top of that, and we just snowballed the shit out of that game. It was very nice. Everyone was super happy. Everyone was super excited. Got off stage, basically just talked about the game plan again, and went into that second game with just really, really high spirits. Um, and we were very confident that we were going to be able to win that because honestly, I thought if I was the enemy team after the first game, I'd have been fucking defeated. Like, those guys had to have been tilted, like 100%. So, second game on, I got to play Camille into Nocturne. So, like, I just played against this guy with Nocturne as Nocturne against Camille. And then the very next game, I get to play Camille into Nocturne. And we
I'm
we
so
fucking
stoked, my
rolled them
dudes.
again. Like we actually rolled them again. Uh, the only issues with that game was our communication started getting bad towards later on into the game because everyone knew we were about to win. Everyone knows that these are the important games. These are the ones people are watching. Everyone was really, 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 really excited to win that game, and there was some communication issues later on into that game a little bit, but there was some communication issues later on in that game, but it was basically because everyone was excited. Obviously, it didn't end up mattering too much, but it is very nice to just be able to get a solid 2 wins. Again, I wish we played the second game a bit more clean, but that's okay. And in terms of performance, man, like the first game, man, Diamond played so well, dude. Like Diamond actually popped off so hard in that first game, and I was super super happy with him. And from a perspective from other people on our team, or maybe even our coaching staff, because again, me and Diamond being the head communicators on the team, there was a lot of arguments we had. Me and Diamond argued a lot, but like outside of the game, I mean, even in the game, like I'm friends with him, right? Like it's really cool that obviously it's not good to disagree and stuff, and like you don't want. Well, it's not that it's not good to disagree because you want to have different opinions, but it's really nice, and I really respect Diamond for me and him would get into in-game just I guess in-game arguments for lack of a better term. We would argue about stuff in game, but as soon as we got out of game, it didn't matter. And I really appreciate that he was a big enough person for that to be a thing. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people, especially in the scene where like people aren't really too used to playing with people, I could really see how it could have went the other way. And some people would get butthurt over in-game communication, and they wouldn't want to talk to the person they were arguing with. But as soon as we were done the game, like, you know, we would start talking, like we would be talking, everything would be fine. And I think if we didn't have that, winning the last game on the last day would have been a very difficult thing to do. So I really appreciated that. Okay, sorry, I had to talk to someone. Um, yeah, no, like I said, I really appreciate the fact that me and him were able to have disagreements, but then outside of the game, it didn't impact anything outside of the game, and we didn't let it affect how we went to the next game. I talked to him one on one a few times about issues I was having, and we were able to work stuff out, and we ended up making sure it worked for the last day, which is the most important thing. Um, so yeah, we won those games. It was really good. Everything was great. I was super super proud of my team for the first game. Flares did really good with listening and knowing his role. Julian did really well in the first game. Turning that early gank and stuff like that. His late game shot calling was good as well. Uh, it was like I said, super proud of both of our solo laners in that first game especially. Jurassic and Diamond, we played through bot lane both those games too, and um, Jurassic stepped up when he needed to, and so did Diamond. Diamond played very, very well. Uh, and me and Diamond, I think if me and Diamond had more time to work together, it would turn into something really great because both of us have similar playstyles. There was just things going on in the team that didn't necessarily allow our playstyles to align. Um, like there would be some games where people were, honestly just getting piped in lane, right? Whether it was bot, mid, or top, there was games where lanes were getting piped and they shouldn't have been, and it really, really hurt the way that I wanted to jungle. On top of the bad communication, I didn't really get to show what I wanted to do exactly. And that's not to completely throw my team under the bus. I could have done a way better job of understanding what they need from me, and I tried to reach out to them, and we did get a baseline of like what they want me to do, but it was a bit of a case of a little bit too little too late, and that was kind of after we had already lost all of our games. um, but yeah, I mean, it happens. There's gonna be people who are better than other people in a tournament like that, and some people are gonna show up, some people won't. That's just the way that is. And I'm not mad at anyone individually on my team for necessarily playing badly on an individual level. I'm really glad that people didn't get too emotional at the fact that we were losing every game, and they were able to stick it out. And it was like just in general, we were able to come together on the last day. Um, so after that, we ended up chilling for a bit. We watched the first place games. I was talking to uh, Team Airdrake or whatever. I was like in one of their rooms just talking to them about the game and stuff, and they seemed super upset, which like I understand. Like some of the players individually were like more upset than others, but I felt really bad. Uh, a lot of them just seemed really defeated. I mean, on top of like the fact that they lost to the quote unquote worst team, but like like we were also 0-6, and like we were also it was also the last day on stage, right? So it's like they didn't want to lose, and then they got smoked. So it was very hard for them to deal with that, and I get it. But again, it was nice talking to them for a bit during the the first place games. And then after that, we had a social type thing where we got to just talk to a bunch of the teams and stuff like that. And that was really cool. A bit of a recap type thing. Got to talk to, my friends and stuff that were there. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Actually, that was pretty much it. I know I was kind of rambly because I didn't really plan out how I was going to talk about this. So I apologize that it was a bit rambly, but that was pretty much it. Our team, we could have played a lot better. I think if we had some more time, we would have played a lot better. Some teams meshed well with others early on. From an outside perspective, from a viewing perspective, I know those games looked really bad, and in some cases they were, but you guys didn't get to hear our comms. You guys didn't get to the stuff that the public didn't get to see was a lot of the stuff that I think I'm actually good at, and it really sucks for me to know that like I guess it's just like a bit of a personal problem that I have where like I felt like I needed to win when I didn't, and I don't want to say like worrying about what people were thinking of me, but like knowing that people couldn't hear our comms and just saw us losing made me feel really bad because like yeah, it's not for the viewers, but when I'm done my game and I go on Twitter, that's what I see, right? Um, and I had a bit of a mental barrier to that. Like I know like that stuff doesn't matter, but like I was like, fuck, like these guys don't even know what the actual issue is. They just see that we're losing and it's like fucking annoying, right? Which kind of bothered me. It wasn't like yeah, that's the only thing that really bothered me with that, and I just needed to like I mean, it didn't end up impacting anything, but it definitely was something that I thought about a few times. Like, wow, we're actually losing every game, and people just think it's because we're like raging at each other and stuff. And I'm like, it's not even it at all. But like, I'm not gonna voice my opinion on that. Scouting grounds seems like who clicks the fastest. Yeah, I mean it is. Don't get me wrong. Like Team Mountain probably had one of the better teams out of the whole thing. Fake God was a coin flip completely because no one knew if he was gonna be good or not. Colin was a bit of a coin flip. Prismal is really fucking good. Fragus is good, but he's a coin flip as well. He was a coin flip. Like no one knew if he was gonna do well or not, right? So Fragus was a bit of a coin flip. Soligo, and Prismal were the biggest points in that team where you would know that there was going to be something good with that team. And then they had 3 coin flips, and all 3 of their coin flips worked out. You know what I mean? And like that's so sick. Like they had a really good team, and they meshed really well together, and they deserve to win. And that's just the way that is. But yeah. So the very next day, I when I say like Fragus and then we're a coin flip, that's not necessarily a negative thing. It's more along the lines of it could have went either way. It's not a negative. It's just they are inexperienced, so it could have went either way, right? That's it. Whereas Prismal has some experience, Soligo has some experience, right? So they were less of a coin flip than the other players. I'm not saying the other players were bad because I don't think they are, but they have the potential to either be good or bad, and they all landed on the good side, which is fucking really, really, really good for their team. So after that, our flights were the night after or the morning after. I got to the fucking airport and I ended up not getting on my flight. And then Riot was like, oh, like super apologetic and accommodating. They were so nice, man. They were so nice to me. They ended up letting me stay in the hotel for an extra 2 days. So I basically got to stay an extra 2 days. And then that first day, I was basically just chilling in the hotel, not really doing too much. I hung out with some people like later on. But after that, I ended up going to Riot HQ, and I got to meet with this guy to talk about Kane. And I'm not going to tell you what he's going to do with Kane, because even I don't know all the way. But what I can tell you is what I told him, because I don't fucking mind telling you what I told him. No, I don't think I can tell you what he told me in response, but I'm just going to tell you guys everything I told him, and I'm just going to let you know that he seemed really, really into the things I was telling him about Kane. So, literally, as soon as I meet him, he's like, "Oh, dude, like, I seen like your fucking montages and stuff," and I was like, "Holy shit, like, this guy at Riot like knows me and he wants my opinion. He wants my opinion on like this champion. he like he's seen my videos and stuff. It's really cool. We talked about some random stuff. Some issues that the community has with Kane. I expressed to him some things that I thought should be changed on Kane. So the things that I expressed to him were a situation where, or not a situation, at the start of every game. These are the suggestions I gave him. Okay, I said at the start of every game, make it so you pick blue or red form, and you will get an orb leak. So kind of like, you know how you get passive gold at the start of every game? That'll happen to your orbs, but very, very slowly. And the reason why I think that should exist is because there's scenarios where you'll be one orb off getting your transformation, and then you'll have to go for another fight where you don't actually want to fight. The only reason why you're fighting is to get your form, right? So the way that I saw it is like, let's say you wanted a red form, and you were one red orb away from hitting your transformation, you could recall, and then you'll get your form in your base. And I feel like that would be such a good thing for the champion. Like, you wouldn't be able to AFK farm and get your form. That's not how it should work, but you should be getting like a trickling amount of orbs while you're just playing the game. And I feel like that would solve a lot of issues with standing around waiting to get your form on certain champions. And he was really, really into that idea. Another idea, one that was his idea, I'm not going to talk about that because I think they are implementing what he said. So I'm not going to talk about that. Another thing that I talked about was let's say, so if you guys don't know how Kane passive works, there's two bars. One's red, one's blue. And they both have to go to 400 orbs. That's how the system works. I'm not going to explain how all that works, but that is how that works. So, and it only shows the progress of the one that's in the lead. So both of them, one of them could be at 50 and one could be at 49, and you would only see the one that's at 50. But let's just say you had at 90% of one form, and then you got the other form. So say you got 100% of blue and 90% for red. I suggested to him that you shouldn't have to wait 4 minutes because you got the wrong form. You should be rewarded for getting 90% of the other form. So I said, you need to tone down the time. You need to scale the time with how many orbs you had in the other form, essentially. So if you had 90% of your red form, instead of waiting the whole 4 minutes, maybe they just gotta wait like 20 seconds because they already almost got the form anyway, and you shouldn't be punished for that. Because there's a lot of scenarios, and I talked about his viability in competitive and why he should never get picked in competitive, but like, imagine you're ganking bot lane, and you need red form, but you're really close to blue form, and you're against like I don't know, some dumb bot lane, like Ashe Tahm Kench, right? You're gonna go into that lane saying, hey guys, let's focus Tahm Kench. For one, that'll never fucking work in solo queue, right? Because your teammates are going to go for the ADC. And for two, in competitive, I guess focusing Tahm Kench in ganks isn't bad because he's just going to eat the AD anyway. So this was a bad example. But essentially getting your teammates to focus a specific target is a very bad thing to do in most scenarios. Especially when you're looking for your form on Kane and you're looking for red form. Because typically when you're going for a gank, you don't just want to focus the tankiest champion there, right? So he really liked that idea where the timer would get toned down. I addressed the bugs. I know a lot of you guys have issues with Kane where you're in the wall with your E, and then when you auto Q, it just cancels your Q. That is a bug that will get fixed. I 100% confirmed that that is something that he knows about now, and that's going to get fixed. The other one that I talked about was when you're ulting while taking tower shots, you always get damaged by the last tower shot, and that's not okay. It should work like Elise Repel or Fizz E or Camille ult. That's going to get fixed. The tower shot thing, that will get fixed. And he's going to try to find out a way to smoothen out when you ult someone and they die. Because there's a lot of scenarios when you're playing red Kane or you're playing, or even blue Kane, and you ult someone, and then right when you're trying to ult out of them, they die. So you don't get any healing on your red form, which that makes sense because you get healed for the amount of damage you dealt. So if they die, you technically didn't do any damage. You didn't do any damage, right? So why would you get healed? And that would be. And there's also an issue with when the target gets killed when you're inside of them, your character just gets frozen, and you can't really do anything. It's for like half a second, your abilities get locked. So I talked about that. I talked about how bad it is to ult someone and then they die. He knows it's bad too. Like, this guy plays a lot of Kane too, so this guy knew a lot of stuff that I was talking about. But But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go into details exactly on everything that he said to me, but those are the things that I brought up to him, and hopefully some of the people that are really interested in that got something out of that. I'm not going to confirm anything that he said he's going to do, but those are all the things I said to him, and yeah, all I'm going to say is he was really responsive to the things I was saying. So yeah, and then after that we just flew home, and that is that. All right. That is pretty much it for my scouting grounds experience.